it's intended to be a storyline. They're very loosely woven around 11 different emotions that can occur while a person is going through this experience of sort of finding themselves, finding love, like pearls on a string. Each song is a little vignette, and you could almost rearrange them for your own personal story. Mystified, like, oh my gosh, this is this new experience that I think I'm falling in love. And then Uncaged, that's about trying to dispel these beliefs that we have in ourselves from the way we were brought up and from what society tells us, the expectations. And so we just kind of move through all these different emotions, ultimately discovering that intuition, which is basically your gut. What's going on in your gut is what's really important, and you have to pay attention to that. And then when you do, you will realize that the fear of being connected to another person is holding you back from the real true joy of experiencing life.
Reaching up, I pull my curtain down and grab a towel as I block the rising sun.
Rändi was the primary impetus for all the subject matter of the songs. She came up with the lyrics and performed the vocals. My responsibility was coming up with the music, producing, and arranging all the orchestral tracks and synth bits, and then recording and mixing the whole process. My main influences over the years were European symphonic metal, female fronted in particular, which is probably what this most closely resembles. Various video game soundtracks, that's always been an area of interest for me mostly. I mean, some would say that that's one of the, that in movie soundtracks are some of the areas where classical composition still kind of gets some use in today's world. Take symphonic metal, take out the drums and guitars and replace them with synthesized drums and synth beds and treatments like that. You kind of get what we have here. And it was actually the very first song I took a stab at on here was an actual symphonic metal song. And then I sent that to Rändi, who made it clear that that wasn't precisely the direction she wanted to go. The drums and guitars too aggressive and not. And so then that was when we sort of retailored the style to fit more the dynamic that it became.
Temptation slithers round my spine, a viper coiling in my mind, hunger dripping through my veins, beats I can't contain. Cast the spell tonight, I'm Jezebel.
The synth and all of the library of sound that was at your fingertips that you were able to utilize just did this vast sonic variety. And you said painting with sound. I mean, that is what you do. It's beautiful. And I think it was really, really cool. So in general, I would come up with probably like a lyric that was 80% done. And hopefully what I would have hoped to have accomplished in the lyric is get the emotional content of what I'm trying to say out. So I would have to come up with something to give him something. But I do know, because you already were like, you like Firefly, you already knew what you wanted to do with Firefly before I even wrote it. I feel like once you got it, and it was like, okay, now I have to figure out how to put my lyric into your sonic conception. And actually, from the 2 years we recorded, we had to re-record 2 songs because my vocal skills had changed and sound had changed so much that they just didn't do the songs justice.
This is definitely, I would say, one of the largest scale projects I've worked on.
Yeah, it was kind of a monster.
Lost in the flare, she could be anywhere. I'm searching for a firefly hidden in the night sky.
I would say between the imagery in my words and the imagery in his sounds, it gives you this multi-dimensional experience that is very visual.
It varies really greatly from song to song. What I'll hit on is like the starting point. Sometimes I'll start from the beginning of the song. Oftentimes I'll start with, I'll get an idea for, this is going to be the biggest moment of the song, and I build around from that. Sometimes I'll get an idea for a particular line that fits this mood, and I'll build around that. So there's not like one particular way that I start writing. It's just sort of, I'm kind of shuffling the old mental Rolodex of different sounds and ideas and things until I hit something comes up that seems like a good match, and then I kind of start building around from there.
Can we be together east of pain?
I was hiking with my son, and he's a family therapist, and we were talking about the intensity of relationships and people who, the drama involved. And I just was like, it's like you just want to be just on that brink. You want to be just next to it, like just east of pain. And I was like, there is a song title, East of Pain. So I actually think that I think in metaphor, I speak in metaphor. A lot of people can't understand what I'm saying half the time because of the way I talk. I also worked with a gentleman named Shane Adams out of Nashville who helped to go through my lyric. But Aaron, too, because my tendency is to be very metaphorical and very image-laden. And it was very hard for me to be direct in anything at first. My lyric got better when he would reflect it back at me 2 weeks later. I was like, what was I thinking? And sometimes even the day of, we did some editing of lyric just to keep getting it more concise and more appropriate to the song that we were recording. Yeah, actually on Lone Wolf, which is really weird. My original, I don't even know if you ever saw the original notes, but originally it was Lonely Wolf. And it was actually about me. It was like, because I was feeling very alone and lonely, and I wanted someone to feel that way about me. I mean, I turned it around and made it into this love song, because that's what you do as a songwriter. You take these experiences and you as any kind of an artist, to make them generalized, and so other people can relate to them.
You initially came to me with a list of titles, and some of them weren't even totally complete, and some actually changed, but they were sort of the general subject matter.
I started with these 4 songs, but I had ideas and little eurekas of all these other songs. And I think that even when you're putting together an album of completely disconnected songs, you look for songs that will bring variety. But we were really locked into that. I mean, we needed them to have enough of a common thread, but also have variety. And so as we got further and further into it, it almost became more and more challenging to create that variety. But it worked.
Together we'll rise, together we will rise.